This episode of the Long Run Podcast is sponsored by Skechers. Oh, look, here I am.
On that, I was going to say, you disappeared.
2 GB athletes.
Oh, look at the state of this. I'll tell you what, it's a good job that we're an audio-based format, really, for the majority of the people who are listening to us.
Did you not get the memo?
Me?
No.
Do they do Great Britain Athletic Team GB tracksuits in XXL?
There's only this has got a bit tighter after I went to McDonald's. So if you're listening on the pod, evening everyone. If you're listening on the pod, 2 GB athletes are currently wearing their GB Athletics kit because we're real GB athletes. So yeah, I don't know what happened to you other two, but we went to Newcastle.
I assume there's a guy in an Amazon van driving around Stansted at the moment trying to find my flat to drop mine off. Yeah,
it could be that, or it could be the fact of we got these from Start Fitness for £18, and we used the code 40 runs to get 10% off.
Oh, what a great sign! Well, what a great start! Brilliant.
I've got to take, but Wilco, I've got to take this off. I'm absolutely. Yeah. Hey, you've got to be melting it, yeah.
You must be roasting in them. What a start! Oh, now they're stripping off. Hayden's back to the old gig.
Reminiscing.
That's too hot wearing it.
Hello, everybody. Yes, it's us. You are in the right place. It's the Long Run Show, live stream and podcast, brought to you by the 40 Runs running community and our sponsors, Skechers. Please go to skechers.co.uk. Check out all their great deal on gear and trainers. Now, tonight, what we're talking about, we are talking about keeping your motivation going, particularly now. The schools are nearly breaking up. It's nearly time to head off for your 2 weeks in the sun somewhere. And you may be in the middle of your training plan. What do? How do you manage to put in your miles while still enjoying your time on the beach, your paella, your pina coladas, all that business? You've got to try and keep going. So we're going to try and give you some great advice about how to make sure that you don't lose track. How are we doing then, boys? Chris, busy all week, mate. Busy week.
I got to let you. We was absolutely wetting ourselves just before we came live on air, because I was telling the boys there's 2 videos coming out this weekend, and the first one's the Southend vlog. We'll come on to Southend because that was brilliant, but just everybody watch till the end. And the second one was the one from our runners weekend, where we headed off to Newcastle for this for the blading race. Thanks again to Start Fitness for having us in Saucony. It's awesome. And then obviously we headed down to Southend. But the video that was coming out Sunday was like the sort of, to put it properly, it's probably boys on tour. And I was just saying I had to actually edit. I actually uploaded one version, and I checked it back in the edit, and I thought, Tobe's going to kill me if this comes out, because I stuck into his room and I was recording Zach in his room, and I told admin, and she weren't happy about that. So I did the right thing. I was mature about it, and I edited it out. But there is some stuff in there that he's going to go nuts. By the way, he's not here tonight. I'm on duty for the tech.
Yes,
because he's out with his new girlfriend. He's got a new girlfriend. And that's I'm not making things up as usual, but he's got a new girlfriend, and they're out in London tonight apparently. So if you see them walking along the streets having a little smooch under the Big Ben, make sure you go, "All right, Speedo," because he likes that. It was quite weird seeing somebody running alongside Speedo wearing a Speedgoat top. That was quite ironic at the weekend. That was really funny actually. Speedgoat himself, who decided, brilliant, he's got a top right that's bright pink, and it's called Southend Rock. Yeah, he's got that because he's worn it. This weekend, Southend came along, the half marathon. The idiot that he is, he wore a yellow top. So he's running along. He's the only person that's got the Southend tour top. But because it's the only thing that was washed, he wore it. So I'm really pleased that he's got this girlfriend, because hopefully she's going to get his wardrobe sorted out. I think.
Yeah, he needs a good influence, doesn't he? He needs somebody to take him in hand.
Admin tried, and admin's said no. She's flown off to San Francisco today, but she's been emailing me because she flew first class. She's been emailing me the old way, updating me and all this sort of stuff. Honestly, you want to see the place she's staying at?
God.
Talk about, you don't think of the Ritz, but in San Francisco, she's gone all out. I tell you, she's living the high life. That girl, she's gone out there.
You lot really live the high lifestyle, didn't you? It's great.
Yeah.
I mean, I've forgotten to introduce, like Chris is here, obviously. You know, we're basically 5-6 minutes in, and I haven't introduced the fact that Hayden and Ben are here as well. And just before we crack on and talk to them, just a quick reminder that if you log into the Facebook link, which Chris will put up, then we can see your comments, and you can put your name on, and we can give you a shout out if they're any good. So, you know, we don't have a particularly high bar when it comes to the quality of the comments that we read out. But if you can say something that's pertinent and witty, then you've come to the right shop. And the same applies to YouTube as well. So let us know, type your thing, and we'll see your comments. And if they're great, we'll put them up on the screen and we'll talk to them.
Yeah, any questions, actually, Wilco? Yeah, any story to up to, any questions as well. Anything you want to ask, jump in. This show works because of you guys. So
it does.
Let's get involved.
If we talk about questions as well, particularly, I mean, Chris does the show on Monday, does the bite-size edition on Monday at 8 o'clock. In that, he tends to try and like talk more about techie sort of stuff, trainers, bits and bobs, stuff like that. So really, if you've got a question about is A trainer better than B and things like that, sometimes that's a better format. Whereas here, more general sort of stuff, more laughs, more general observations. That'd be the way to go. So Hayden and Ben are with us tonight as well. Hello, gentlemen. Have we managed to cool down after the Southend half marathon was hotter than the sun on Sunday?
Yeah, it was. It was really hot. Last year was hot, but this year just went on to a different level altogether. I was trying to describe it, and it was like being in one of them like steel factories and like just putting like a running machine inside it. You know, you see all the burning orange flames coming up. That's what it felt like. It was so hot, and even when you turned around, you had a bit of breeze. It just didn't do anything. It was really. Honestly, I think it's probably one of the hottest races I've ever done. Definitely go that far.
Now, Ben, if anybody's seen the YouTube, the open video with the beautiful 4 pictures of you looking broken. It says broken.
I was absolutely. I think from mile 4, maybe mile 5, I'd set off, and nothing prepares you for that heat. Like Hayden, I did Lisbon last year, and that was nothing in comparison to Southend. It was just intense the whole way round. So by the time the finish line came, I was almost on the floor, I think.
Brilliant. It was two. And anybody who's not done it before, it was the first time I'd done it. Like it involved two laps up and down the promenade at Southend, and doing the first bit, and it was really, really hot. I was looking forward to perhaps turning around, perhaps the wind would come, and then you got a sort of like 50 yards of breeze in your face, which was very welcome. And then all of a sudden, it was like the surface of Mercury again. So it was an absolutely great 40-day out though. Brilliant.
Oh yeah, that's what I was going to talk about. Yeah, massive. Like the Pink Picnic. So if you didn't know, we tried to make Southend as one of our sort of cornerstone events, I would say, and bring people in this sort of area, London southeast based. I'll come on to why that is in a minute. Around the Pink Picnic. So if you can get down there, don't necessarily need to run the half marathon. Just come along, hang out. And support and all that sort of stuff, because then the club puts effectively some money behind the bar kind of thing, and Helen and Nettie and the whole team down there just done an amazing job of putting on a great picnic for us all to sit there and scoff our faces. Ben had 8 donuts. I saw him eat them all, and we just it was just lovely seeing everybody hanging out, new faces, which I think was just the most amazing thing for me, was to see so many new faces coming into the club and coming into the community, which was just awesome. And it was just great. It's just a great day. The running sort of takes backseat in a way. No one was there because of the heat to run a time. I know Ben thought he was going to be hard and do it, but I told him he's never going to do it because it's just too hot. It's just pointless. So we all end up going, you know what, we're just going to like fun run this, walk run it, whatever. And it was all about the picnic afterwards. It was all about hanging out afterwards. It's an environment I think that everybody could chill out in, because it's outdoors. It's a little bit more free, and it's a little bit more, just open and all that kind of stuff. It was just brilliant. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
What I also got out of the community aspect of it as well was like, obviously it's great to see everybody, you know, lots of people that we see on a regular basis at the bigger events, and lots of people we went to Ibiza with, caught up with those. That was brilliant. But what I found was that it was really helpful too, because I mean, I think that's 21 half marathons I've done now. I still don't consider myself to be experienced at doing that, but it was one of the toughest ones I did. And I did bail out at about 10 miles and sort of ran sort of like the first, you know, the final 3 miles or so. And it was so, if I'd have not seen people at the end and I'd gone home, I'd have thought, oh, well, that was a bit of a failure.
Good point.
Finish, all that sort of thing. But coming back into the environment, into the area where we were under the canopy and seeing everybody and having a picnic and finding out so many other people had the same experience and done exactly the same thing was a massive benefit to me. And that really helped.
I'm going to tell you something that was lovely, and it's on the video tomorrow. You two, I think one of you was giving the other one a hug when you finished, and I think that sums it up. Actually, it was like, "You're all right, mate. Yeah, not bad. I'm ruined. I'm hot. We done it," kind of thing. And it's genuinely a lovely moment because the two of you just hug each other and go, "Yes, that was tough." Well, and that's a really good point, Wilco. Actually, having that at the end, and I think that's what makes everything that we do so awesome. So yeah, well pointed out, brother. I think, I just think it was amazing. Then obviously this weekend we've got Harp 24, which is going on again, funnily enough, down in Essex. But I just go off on the other tangent because the reason I mentioned the other thing is because then later on in the year, September, so we sort of, because I know that's southeast based, we then go up northeast and we do the big Great North Run meetup. So we try and sort of get both ends of the country sort of sorted. I know it's quite ignorant to say that everyone can get to both, but you know, we're then going to be we put it out there today about the shakeout run, the Great North Run that's going to be at midday in Newcastle on Saturday. It's basically a fun run, walk, run it, whatever. I'm totally oblivious to the fact that people may want to do part run or they've just come up and they've traveled and, you know, whatever. But we're trying to put some things in place where you be able to put a bag because you may not be able to check in yet and all that sort of stuff. And hopefully, again, it's an opportunity to people to get together. They may then want to go to the pub afterwards or, you know, that sort of thing. So we're trying to put that together, but it's confirmed for midday in the centre of Newcastle we're going to meet. So, and that's the sort of thing, again, that we want to try and do just to bring everybody, you know, maybe you're listening to this and you're not part of the Facebook group or the affiliated running club or the community or whatever, but you're part of 40 Runs because you listen to this, which is awesome. You know, come along to that as well. You know, that's the sort of thing. It's open to everybody. So we want as many of you coming to that as you know, as we did in Southend. That's the sort of thing. You know, it's just trying to bring those. Don't you think, Aidan? I think it's a powerful thing to have these things.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be fair, Wilco's story summed it up absolutely perfectly. That feeling of not having a good race, but afterwards seeing everyone and having a good social, I suppose, sort of balances it out, and it works the other way around. You have a great race, you see the people after, suddenly it's one of the best events you've ever done in your life. But Great North, again, is no disrespect to Southend. Southend's absolutely fantastic. I really love it. But Great North, again, is just taking up another notch, another level with the intensity, with the amount of people there. The whole thing, in fact, it's a whole weekend because a lot of people got there to stay. It's, this shakeout run this year and the whole, everything around Great North Run is going to be absolutely very
look, when we was up there, Hayden, you think, right, so the Bladen race, which was amazing, by the way, I would recommend anybody to do it, right, if you can get in. But we was up there, a field of 5,000 people, and there was just so many people who were saying, hello, love the podcast, you know, love what you guys are doing. You know, where's Wilco? You know, is Ben up here? Where's admin? You know, people who are fully invested in this show that we do. And it blew us away, genuinely blew us away, the amount of people that were saying hello to us up there. When really it's like a proper traditional club event. It's, you know, we was a bit out of our not comfort zone, but it's a different environment for us. You know, big club race up there. And we was up there and the amount of people, wasn't it, Hayden? It was mental.
It was weird. One of the funniest moments that make me laugh is we was running. We was all talking to each other, messing about. You was filming everything. And suddenly someone looked at us and they went, "You're from the Long Run Show." They'd never seen us before. Obviously, just listening to it on Spotify. And they knew, not from the names or anything else. They could just tell by your voices. It's probably you with your Cockney accent. I don't know. But they just knew by our voices. They were like, "You're from Long Run Show. You're Chris. You're Hayden. That's Toby, Speedgoat." It was just really, really strange. At the start, actually, before we went, I need to give a big shout out Young lady Lauren at the start, she came up to us, wanted a picture, and said she's an avid listener. And then as we was running along, there's these legends, these 3 girls. Literally the whole time you're running, I tell you, they weren't slow either. They were with us the whole way.
Yeah,
and the whole way, they did not stop talking. They talked about everything. And
you would have loved them.
It was like they just met up at a pub and they were gossiping. I turned around to one point, I was like, how can you be talking at this intensity? It's just what they do. They were from Jessamine Runners. There was Sophie, Jane, and Laura. Absolute legends, honestly, all 3 of them. They come in literally just behind us at the end, still talking, still laughing, smiling, and the shift they put in, unbelievable.
It looked epic. Amazing. It looked brilliant. So so we're going to have this is going to be 12 o'clock from Start Fitness on the Saturday before the Great North Run. We're going to have a shakeout run, very similar sort of thing to if you were fortunate enough to have been at the NEC for the National Running Show when we went out for a bit of a spin after we did our little bit on the stage, and it was epic. It was brilliant. We had such a great time, and look, that was running around a car park in the middle of Birmingham. This is going to be so much better. Running around dodging the hen and stag doos in Newcastle City.
And we are going to hopefully do a live show up there, Wilco. We're just trying to finalise location. Speedgoat, obviously, he's out with his girlfriend this weekend. They've gone away for a long weekend. But I'm hoping that he can give us the details in terms of what we need to get that technology up there. There won't be much because we do this sort of thing on a shoestring. But
you've seen that in the comments? Look, straight in. There you go.
There we go.
Lauren at the start. Lauren Shaw's, she's there. That was me who said hello on the key side. It was lovely to see you all.
But yeah, we want to try and get the show up there and do a live version of what we did in Birmingham up there. And that'll all be confirmed. So make sure, say, if you're not in the Facebook group, that you're on the mailing list or you listen to this, we'll push it like hell on there. But
also, if you're not just on the 40 Runs list, but there is a Great North Run support group under the sort of 40 umbrella, which is really helpful. That's how I got involved in the group in the first place, because I got a place in the Great North Run, didn't know anything about, never been to Newcastle before, didn't know anything about the transport, stuff like that. Loads of people on there with loads of knowledge that have done all sorts of things regarding the best half marathon in the world. It's a really good place to give it to get loads of info. So I definitely recommend signing up to that as well.
Right, I've got a question for Ben, because this is quite good. Any rumours on London notification date? Right now, they said that it could be the end of June. I think we are moving next week into territory in which they could drop it. Right, and I put a post out. I don't know if it was today or whatever, scheduled post about what you're going to do if you don't get in, that sort of thing. Ben, you got in through the ballot, didn't you?
I did, yep.
What was that feeling like when you got that? Because I guess you're different. Like when Hayden first got in, they delivered it by pigeon, okay, and it was like a quilled piece of paper. Dear Mr. Hayden, congratulations, you're going to be taking part in the first ever London Marathon, right? Go forward 70 years. You got. Is it or did you get a magazine through the post? Or did you get an email?
Got an email.
Right. And then, so what did you think? Like, firstly, is this a wind up or what was it? All right.
No, not was it a wind up. I think the first thought was sheer panic in terms of, oh, I've actually got to do this. I remember saying to my mum, oh, I've got into the London Marathon. And she went, oh, well, do you have to do it? You don't need to. And I was like, do you know how hard it is to get in through the ballot? Of course I have to do this. And then I think as soon as you get the link through to, because I didn't go in for the second time ballot, so I had to put the payment through, and it was, I think that was the nervous bit, because I was like wanting to make sure it had gone through. Now that I'd got the golden ticket, it was making sure that had gone through, and then that's when the excitement started. It was that, oh wow, I've actually got this, because I think anyone who's gone in for the ballot for London knows the chances of getting it in the ballot. People who've luckily got it a couple of years running. Some people have gone in, I think I've seen 21 times and haven't got the ballot. So yeah, it's an incredible feeling. Panic at the start, but then as soon as you kind of get over that initial shock, I think the excitement starts then.
Amazing. And
I think you have to
have you got into the ballot, Wilco?
Sorry, mate. Sorry, I'm talking.
Yes, all right. It's all right. It's Mark. I think my thing's delayed. Have you got into the ballot for this year, Wilco?
Yes, I have, and I have no expectation of getting in. And I just think that's the best way to approach it. I think that, I've done 5 or 6 probably, and it's about a 33 to 1 chance that they do win. But it's like a 33 to 1 chance that you're going to get in. So in half, what I like this year is that you're not waiting so long to get your result, because that used to be the biggest pain with London, because obviously it would. If I'm doing marathon, I've done 4 marathons, and I would never do more than 2 in a year. I'd always do 1 in the spring, and I'd do an optimum year would be to do 1 in the spring and 1 in the autumn. So consequently, I know that if I got London, then that would be the spring one, and I wouldn't do anything else and stuff like that. But at least now I've got plenty of time to think about what options that I've got to do a spring one. If as anticipated, I don't get in. Whereas last time, that you would wait so long to get your results. They would generally do them so that it would be like 4 months, wouldn't it? So you get Christmas, and it'd be like, right, okay, you're in. Yeah. You've got to start training on Monday. You've got to start your block. But now it's quite good, because you can still get all the early bird offers for Manchester, Leeds, Belfast.
Yeah, but Edinburgh, why?
Brighton, all the other options that you've got, because it would be a fantastic thing to do London, but I think sometimes people are under the misconception of it's the only show in town, and it ain't. There are loads of good marathon. If you want to go out and run 26.2 miles, there are other options available. And I've done 4. I've not done London at all. I've done them in big cities. I've done Manchester. I've done Dublin as well, and we did Edinburgh. There are big events in big towns that you can go and do. So yes, I have applied, but I'm not holding my breath.
So I was going to just pull up on that. You know why they're doing it this year, don't you? Why they're giving the results out early? It does go back to what you said, Wilco, purely because who now runs Brighton Marathon? London Marathon events. So what they want to do is everyone that doesn't get in the ballot, first thing they want to do is push you into Brighton. Whereas if they left this till the last minute, people wouldn't so much want to do it. So that's my theory. And that's why I reckon they're doing it. I've got this thing about the marathon. I don't know if I've said it before. It does seem unfair with people. I just saw, I think it was Bam Bam said he's been in 21 times into the ballot. There's a few things I think that they could do. And most importantly, I think London Marathon events, when you apply for London Marathon, I think you should have to pay there and then, like you do on a lot of all the other marathon events. And I'll probably get grief for this, but that will stop people who are down the pub having a drink, and someone says, oh, I apply for London Marathon today. And their mates are like, oh, what'd you do? What do you have to do for that? Go on the website. How much that cost? Oh, nothing yet. You might not get in. Everyone goes on there, starts entering. The amount of people that enter just because it's a whim of the moment thing, they don't want to do it. They've got no interest in it, really. It's just a thing. And don't get me wrong, some of them will go on and do it. Fantastic, amazing. But a lot of them won't. A lot of them will give up. A lot of them will just... I just think if you had to pay there and then, I think it would reduce the amount of people that apply for the marathon. And it would put some people off who would just do it just for the sake of it.
So some of those bigger ones that you've done around the world, have you had to pay up front? Because I think one of them, I can't remember, but which one have you had to pay for up front?
With no, it wasn't Ben actually. It was admin. So with Chicago, you know before you get in, because they take the money out of your bank. You give me your bank details and your card. And so I remember Sabrina messaged went on the day, and I said to her, "Have you got in?" She's like, "I think so." I said, "Well, do you know or not?" She went, "They've taken the money out of my bank." So she knew already before they'd even emailed her to tell her she was in. So I just think that would reduce people at London entering for the sake of it, if that makes sense about me sounding. I don't think ordinary people should do it.
I think they do that for the Great North as well. Don't they do that for the Great North? That you have to give your bank details, and then because the only way I know this is because obviously on ballot release days we're all pounding away, clicking on things and stuff like that, and on Facebook, and people have said, "Oh, I've not got confirmation, but they've taken my money," and I'm sure they've done that. Ben, is that the case?
Yeah, that's how I found out I got into Great North. I suddenly had a debit on my credit card and was just like, "Oh, have I entered a race that I don't know about?" And then realised it was Great North.
Something.
But to Hayden's point, it's similar for New York ballot and Berlin ballot, that you put in your card details, and if you get a place, you pay. And I agree with you, Hayden. I think that would stop a lot of people, or at least maybe make people consider before they, because you've always got that get out of jail. And I think I saw one of the questions in terms of, is there better chances if you for London, you can pay the entry fee and go in the second chance ballot? I don't know if that does increase your chances on that. I think for me, the reason why I stopped doing that was when the sponsorship changed and you get the training top. They basically used the previous year's training top and just ironed over the sponsor logo. And I just thought, do you know what? I think you're taking the mick out of me here. So actually, last year was the first year I hadn't done the second chance ballot, and I got in. So I haven't done it this year. Let's see.
I've got a question for you because Hayden just came back and then we'll dive into some of those comments because there's quite a lot coming through. Thanks, guys. If you don't get to London, then based on their assumption, would you do Brighton, Hayden?
Me personally, it is not even a question I'd entertain. I have got zero interest in doing Brighton Marathon.
Even though you're a GB athlete?
Do they send GB athletes down there?
No. Well, that's GB athletes. Don't go down there. We go to Bladen. Wilco, would you do Brighton if they said no to London? Would you then? But you can do Brighton at like 25 quid or whatever. Would you do it?
I think it would just. It tends to be early, doesn't it, Brighton? It's like one of the first. It's like first week in April or something. It's quite early, isn't it? I mean, it would depend when it is on the calendar. I wouldn't rule it out. I've not done it before.
Ben?
I love Brighton, so I wouldn't do the marathon down there because I would worry that I wouldn't get my fueling right when I went down.
That means he's going to go out right, get totally upside down, and then have to run a marathon on Sunday. That's basically what you're saying.
Which I did for the Brighton half. I'd gone out on the Friday night, didn't eat anything on the Saturday, and I was not as broken as I was at the Southend, but getting there.
Where's the graphics? Let's just show everyone again. Hero moment. Look at it. Look. It's just beautiful.
Now, how broken does he look? You know, we'll give it a Simon mark out of 10, shall we? How broken?
All right. If you're listening on the podcast, you just have to bear with us for now. We're just going to give out of 10 broken. Hayden, what do you reckon out of 10 broken?
I'll go 11.
Okay. Wilco, would you reckon broken out of 10?
8.5.
I'm going to give that a solid 10. Ben, how would you rate you being broken out of 10 from that picture?
I mean, I think I look like I'm smiling, so I'd probably go about
You're definitely not.
7.
Oh dear! Actually, we've missed young Simon. He's been on. I rang him the other day. I had to ring him about saying he went, "Hang on, I've got to get out of the sea." But he's back on. He's back on Saturday, which is good because I need his van. Happy days. Right, so let's dive into the chat. God, you guys are heroes. Look, it doesn't work without you guys. So. That was from one question. We went off from about 7 minutes talking about that because somebody wrote a question. Right. So looking forward to Harp this weekend. So Hayden, tell everybody who's got no idea what we're talking about. What's Harp 24?
So Harp 24, I'm not sure if people know about it. So last weekend there was Endure 24. And this is the same idea, but it's on a bit of a smaller scale. So it's running for a charity down in Southend. And you enter a race, you can go in as a team, you can go in as solo, a team of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all up to a team of 12, I think. Basically, you rock up there, 12 o'clock Saturday, pitch your tent up, and at 12 o'clock Saturday, the starter gun goes. And then you've got 24 hours to see how many laps you can complete of this course. It's an 8-kilometre, 5-mile course. So if you're by yourself, you can go out and keep going and going and going until you've had enough, back to your tent, have an hour's sleep, have a few drinks, whatever you want to do, and then go back out again. Whereas if you're in a team, which a lot of us FORDY'S this year, so we've got an average of teams of 5. So someone will go out first, do the lap, come back, and someone else goes out. So that person that comes back probably got about 4 hours, 5 hours to wait to go back out again. And they just keep doing this on a continual base for the whole 24 hours. And honestly, it's an absolute fantastic game. The best thing about it is the whole community thing, the fact that we've got it's like a mini Glastonbury. So we're going to have this big sort of like communal bit in the middle with like these 2 tents, with the 2 big gazebos, and everyone else is pitching their tents around it. So we just hang out there in the sun, just relax. And then when you know about 2 or 3 minutes from your turn to go out, there'll be a message on the group, someone saying 2 minutes away, get yourself up, go to the start. It's like a relay, just hand over. And we do that non-stop 24 hours. And that includes obviously through the night.
Is there like a relay back? Because when we did Ragnar, it's a Ragnar relay. We did this. I wouldn't say it's a similar sort of thing, but we basically ran for 24 hours from one point to one point. Right, it was just the most epic adventure I've ever done. But we had like this wristband thing that we had, and this thing on it was either on our wrist. Ben, you remember that thing you had when you was in prison? You know the thing they put around your ankle? That thing. It was like that, and then you had this like this wrist thing, and you had to change that over at the change point. Do you guys have to do anything like that?
No. So that was probably about 1985, 86. So now in the modern days now, we've got chips in our bibs. So they know. It's like a start point and finish point. So as you go out, just clicks your chip and it comes back and they know who's on what team. They know who's running. And at the end, you get a breakdown of how many laps you've done, how many laps your team's done, etc., etc. So yeah, it's quite... It's just there's one guy standing there, sitting there like in the tent with a laptop just playing with it. And you can go and ask for your figures and stats all day long.
Is his name Toby? Because that's the sort of thing Speak Out do. You know, his active job. That's, you just described it. Sitting on a laptop and playing with things.
Pressing
Publishing it to a big board.
Yeah, you know, like you see that monkey where they're just pressing keyboard. That's Toe at work on his laptop doing this and this. I shouldn't be horrible to him because he will listen back to this after he's been out tonight on his date, smoochy under Big Ben. He'll probably listen back to this to make sure we haven't said anything naughty about him.
And Hayden, you'll be hoping that the weather's a bit better than it was last year.
Oh God, yeah. Last year we literally, so it's meant to be 24 hours. Last year it should have been called Harp 18 because for 6 hours, from about 11 o'clock at night till 5 in the morning, I had to cancel it. I had to cut it because it was just, the lightning storms were just absolutely horrendous. And when it actually kicked in and they cut it, we had a couple of 40s out on course. So we actually had the oldest 40 out and the youngest as well. So it was a little bit worrying. But yeah, it was just too dangerous to go out there. And so they called it. So for 6 hours, they called it off. So this year we're hoping, the way the last 2 weeks have been, it should be absolutely blinding. But I did have a look. And it does look like there could be some more storms Sunday morning. So
seriously?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
It's not rained in the UK for about 3 months. And it's just going to be on that day.
Couldn't make it up.
That is mental. But I've got to say, I just want to give a shout out to all the guys. Unfortunately, I'm working this weekend. But good luck to everybody this weekend who's doing Harp 24, who's representing the club, community. I can't wait to see the pictures. I can't wait to see the Facebook lives. I hope you don't get another storm. If Hayden's near the cooker or doing any form of cooking, don't eat it. I tell you now, don't eat it.
Really?
After seeing the boy, what he ate, right?
I knew this was coming.
Up at Newcastle, it's alarming what he did. Also, the good thing is for you, you're outdoors. When we shared a flat last weekend, all he did was stink the flat out, right? Ben, you'd have had a big problem with this. On Friday, he had a Ruby in the flat. So you can imagine what the smell was. Next day, he burns his bagels deliberately to wake Spico up. And that's all we could smell. So it's just the boy. Just stay away.
Was he setting off the fire alarm?
Yeah, and he set up the fire alarm. The whole building evacuated. If you're a Harp 24 this weekend, do not let Hayden anywhere near the cooking.
Well, you know why this was, don't you?
What?
It's because he didn't take his chef and his butler and all them sort of people.
That's a good point.
You know, he had to do his own cooking, and he didn't know one end of a saucepan from the other.
Mate, right.
We've got 2 camp cooks this time, so we're going to be all right.
As long as one of them's not you, boy, then they will be all right. God help us. Right, Wilco, come on, let's move it along. What are we talking about?
Yeah, I was going to say we've talked 33 minutes, and we haven't even got round to what.
That's why we're number one in Asia.
Yeah, all over the place. Hong Kong this week.
Hong Kong heroes.
Yeah, so if people from Hong Kong want us to go over and do a show, all expenses paid, then FORDYRUNS.com/longrun. Just drop us a note with your details, and we'll check on our availability.
Oh, this is the thing, maybe, but you got to remember, admin only goes first class.
Well, that's right. I'll sit out the back. I don't mind.
Oh, you're quite relaxed.
That's okay. If someone else is paying, I'm not bothered. Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. Let's talk about motivation and let's talk about holidays and stuff like that. Chris, you said you've had a lot of communication about this subject with your coaching clients. Would you like to expand?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting topic, right? It's a bit out there. It's a bit random, actually, to discuss it. Because when people say, "Oh, summer training," they'll talk about, hydration, heat, and all this sort of stuff. But one of the things that I get asked a lot about, or there's some panic's probably a little bit strong. But people, when they come to me and do, training plans, I'm doing a lot of plans still at the moment for people because obviously a lot of the events are starting in July and June and things like that. And the first thing it says, "Oh, but yeah, I've got 2 weeks off, and I'm off to Corfu for 2 weeks. What am I? What should I do?" Oh, I think to myself, it's like running illegal in Corfu. Do you know what I mean? It's like, have they not got like pavements and places to go running? Oh, I've got 2 weeks family. Oh, no treadmills. Maybe get up half hour earlier. So it's an interesting. It is genuinely. I'll take that, Mickey. But it is genuinely something that you do think about, right? Because if you're, starting a plan, or you've just started a plan. Let's say you've got Berlin Marathon. Yeah, you're going there to break a world record like Hayden tried to last year, but failed miserably. But as a GB athlete, should have done better. This year, other GB athletes could be going to Berlin, and you've got to think to yourself, how am I going to fit this holiday? And I've just started training. I'm meant to be doing 25 miles this week, 30 miles this week. But I'm more interested laying around the pool drinking pina coladas. It's like, what am I meant to do? So I thought it's worth talking about and worth chatting through. So firstly, before we get on to sort of what I would then say to those people, I think let's spin around and find out, because Hayden's off to Mexico, Gringo's off to Mexico. He's going out there with his friend. Have you, Ben, do you watch Formula One, Wilco?
Me, no, I can't watch it, mate. Rubbish.
Have a look. There's a geezer on there called Sergio Perez.
Checo.
That's Hayden's mate, right? He runs Red Bull. So that's why we got the Red Bull gig, because through Hayden and his mate, Sergio Perez. Okay. So if you watch the Formula One, I think it's in Canada. Is he in Canada this weekend?
You tell me.
Well,
He is.
Your mate. Anyway, so he's going down to stay at Sergio's villa, basically, in Mexico. So what are you going to do in terms of running? Because you're going to be into a training plan for Chicago. What are you going to do?
Yeah. Well, to be on this time round, it's ridiculous, but it's the wrong person to come to this time. I've had so many niggles and injuries over the past 6 months or so. I have decided this time, this holiday, I am going to really, really cut back and just literally just do a couple of runs. But in general, if it wasn't for that, normally I would do exactly the same. I would maybe cut back the real long runs and just do a couple of sort of medium start runs. But the biggest thing for me, always on holidays, you just got to get up early. Just get up before that sun comes out, before you're going to start drinking pina coladas, like you said, before you're going to go relax by the pool. There's nothing better on holiday, in my opinion, than getting up early, just about the sunrise, and exploring where you are. For me, I absolutely love that. It's the best way to get out. You get to see things. If it's a beach, just a beach you got there, that's going to be difficult. But again, cut the mileage down by less than half and do it on the beach. You'll get the same sort of like response from it than you would from a longer run. But when you're talking about 20 milers and your longest runs, when you're getting close to marathon sort of day, you're 3 weeks away, I agree. It's not ideal. And you don't really want to do in them sorts of distance. But to keep fit, absolutely, just keep doing what you do. And as you said, a lot of hotels, gyms, treadmills, most of the gyms have got aircon in them. And if you can't do that, worst case scenario is get up, jump in the pool for an hour. You got the pool, just get in there before the kids jump in and start bombing and just start swimming. It's all about just maintaining a bit of fitness, not so much making your fitness more, which is what you would do at home. Granted, you're not going to get to that point of fitness you would if you spent 2 weeks at home. It's maintaining what you've got. Don't lose what you've got. And that can be kept by little things on, as you said, on a cross trainer, doing a bit of swimming, or even walk. Go for a real fast walk first thing in the morning. Go and do a 10K walk really fast. Don't have to run it. Just you'll keep a bit of fitness.
Yeah, I think that's really good points. But I think actually you just touched on something inadvertently also, which I think is good, is that sometimes to take time out and do a little bit less. I know you have to because of your age, but in general, if you look at it, right, it's actually not a bad place to reset. So maybe you've done 2 or 3 weeks of marathon training. To have 1 or 2 down weeks actually ain't going to make much difference. So, that sort of reverse psychology of I'm going to deliberately do less, because then when you come back and you go back into your marathon training or half marathon training, whatever it is, actually you're probably a bit more refreshed and a little bit more physically and mentally fresh anyway. So, yeah, that's a really good point actually you brought up. What about you, Wilco?
I like running on holiday. When I go, I mean, it depends very much on. I think you just got to be flexible. You've got to be flexible in terms of your grand plan of where your holiday is going to be. Cut yourself some slack. Don't ruin your holiday by thinking, oh God, I'm not doing all this running, things like that. Because from a mental perspective, it's really going to help to wind down a little bit. I think sometimes it depends on what sort of environment you're away. It's very different if you're, say, in a city or something like that. Ben will tell us in a minute about, you've been to San Francisco for a week, somewhere like that. It's a lot more flexible of where you can go running than, say, if you're on a Greek island and there's no pavement. And every road, you think you're taking your life in your own hands every time you turn around the corner, walking down the road, because someone's going to come speeding past on a moped or something like that. So you've got to. I just think if you're flexible and don't beat yourself up too much if you don't do much. Try and just find windows to do stuff and opportunities like Ben Hayden's mentioned about pool and go for a walk, running on the beach. You might find that you love running on the beach. It might be great. You might go out on the first day and this is brilliant. And for 14 days you go and run up and down the beach because you love it so much. You don't know. Just be open-minded and flexible.
I think you may again spot on, Wilco, to be honest with you. But don't get stressed about it. I think that's the key. Now, Ben, Wilco just said about you just come back from San Fran. Now, I might be wrong. I doubt this. You didn't stay at like the whatever it's called, the Fairmont, whatever it is, where Admin's staying. You know, the penthouse suite that she's taken out, the whole like top where she's got her own treadmill and pool in her room.
Sadly not.
So you didn't have that to hand like she will. But what did you do in terms of your holiday? Now you've not officially started marathon training yet, or half marathon training like some of the people who this may come into. But what was you doing in terms of while you was on holiday and you're running?
So I think much like Wilco, I think it's a little bit easier in a city, but I think for me, key is day one, I go out for that walk, kind of sussing out where some running areas are. And I think, again, to Wilco's point, is making sure where the safe running areas are, because when I was in Jamaica last year, it was a case of going to go running on the beach as opposed to running along the street where there wasn't a pavement. So sussing out those. And then I'd planned for a long run on the Sunday, but actually I was quite flexible with it and just pushed it later on into the week. So I went out for a few, gauged how I felt during the day, but wanted to make sure that I did get some runs in, but I wasn't overly stressed about distance or time. It was just sightseeing and enjoying the view, really. I think it's a great way. I think one of the comments in there, it's a great way of seeing the city and getting around and seeing what's local to you.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a great way to see some of what you've got around. It's a great way to explore and things like that. I think you've all kind of nailed it in a way. So going back to what I would tell those clients is, first, if the plan is there, remember it's just a plan. It's not a legal requirement that you're in Corfu and you've got to run 30 miles a day or whatever it is. It's stupid. That is there as a guideline. If you can take one or two of those sessions out for that week, if you can jump on a treadmill and do your intervals on there and feel like a hero, and then jump in the pool, or even if you can get out and do 30 minutes, run down to the seafront, run along it around the marina and come back, you're winning, right? And that's the thing. You're in a position where you're maintaining what Hayden said exactly is right, and that's what I would tell, and that's what I do tell my clients. We're not looking to build, to increase anything while you're on holiday. We're looking to maintain. That's all we're looking to do. And maintaining that fitness can be quite simple. And as you say, you're in the pool, you're doing all, whether you go for a walk or whatever, you're maintaining fitness whilst on holiday. But most importantly, you're rebuilding mentally. And that's so key. And you are resting. Hopefully you're getting a little bit of a longer sleep and your recovery is a little bit better. If you are in the pool, if you've got access to a pool, you're probably, working out different muscles and you're stretching things out. And if you're in a holiday in Devon and you're doing plenty of walking, that's just as awesome. So it's that advice that don't worry about it. You're in a maintaining pattern. You're in a holding pattern, like a plane, above about the land of Heathrow. You're just up there cruising about, waiting to land. That sort of thing is how I want you to think. But the key to it is don't get your knickers in a twist about, I've got a London Marathon place from the Ballot, but I've got 3 weeks in Florida. What am I going to do? You don't worry about it. Do you know what I mean? If you're in Florida, firstly, you can probably walk about 20,000 steps every day. So really, I wouldn't worry about it. And that's just to get off of Hayden's estate. But you just can't get stressed out, hey? You've got to enjoy your holiday. So if you're lucky enough to get some time off, and if you're literally just at home having a vacation, I would still say the same thing. Use the time wisely to rest and recover and recuperate. And
what about? I mean, we've talked about you're talking about being on holiday, and really we've concentrated on sort of beach line by the pool type holidays. What about sort of like if your holiday is travel and you're going out and about and you're visiting things and stuff like that? Will that affect you know, will that affect you in a different way? Will you be less worried about running if you're out and about and doing stuff?
Well, so if you was like, I don't know,
say you're going to Thailand for, you know,
yeah, and you're going out to
Thailand
see all
for
the
2
different
weeks.
stuff. I honestly, all of this stuff, the reason I wanted to bring it up this week was really to tell everyone to stop worrying about it, to stop overthinking about it, and stop. And it's key because, like as I said, if London Marathon Ballot rolls out next week and then everybody starts panicking about autumn marathons, you know, it's the biggest thing that I hear. Honestly, when I got back, well, I've got a holiday, you know, I've got 2 weeks here. So what? You know, don't let that define how your training is going to be. Okay, so don't get stressed about it. Is what I wanted to say. And if you've got a traveling holiday like that, or you know, you've done what admin's done, you've gone to the most expensive hotel in San Fran to sit with all the celebs in a spa for 2 weeks, right? All expenses paid, jobby. Then it don't make any difference, does it? Really? Because
the other point, the other thing I wanted to ask you was if you're compensating for a holiday in your plan. So you've drawn up your plan and say, right, okay, week 10, I'm going to Mallorca for a week. Okay. So would you be inclined to do a bit more in week 9 before you go? Or would you be more inclined to just enjoy your holiday and think, right, I'm back at Gatwick Monday, Tuesday, I'm getting on it? What would your tactic be?
The plan is a process over 16 weeks or 18 weeks or whatever you've decided to go on that journey. Now, just seen a comment about I would start the block 2 weeks before. Can do. I mean, you should really be doing a building phase anyway before your plan kicks in. So really, ideally, you do some form of 6-week building process before you go into a plan. I appreciate that some people may get a ballot place and go, shit, I'm not even on couch to 5K here. You know, that happens, right? But in general, most runners who are going through the everyday runner experience like us have done some form of running. And I would recommend strongly that you do some form of 6-week block before you go into that training plan, whether it be a 12-week for a half or whatever, to build that thing. So you will have that underlying fitness base. So you never want to chase the weeks. Let the process take part of it. And if in week 9 and 10 you're in Mallorca, larging it with me in Calador, have some of that.
Oh, it's lovely, Calador.
I'll be there. Come along. I'll be singing in the evening. I might even bring Hayden over. Hayden, we could do a bit of karaoke. Anyway, it's an interesting fact. I said to Hayden about it. Hayden and I, we could even do this at the Great North Run, Hayden. We could do a karaoke set. We could do Garth Brooks' greatest hits. Anyway, we'll come back to that another day. But anyway, yeah. So I wouldn't chase those miles. I wouldn't try and like ease off 1 week because I'm on, or go hard 1 week because I'm on holiday next week. The process is, your body adapts over 6-8 week periods, and what you're going to do is not going to make that much difference as long as you're consistent, as long as you're training well and you're getting the best out of those runs and doing the right efforts when you should be doing it, and you're easing off when you should be doing it, and you're making sure you're getting the right recovery, you're doing the strength and conditioning work, you're doing your stretching and all that sort of stuff. But most importantly, you're being consistent, then everything else will take care of itself.
I would also say as well, there could be an idea for people if they really want to, especially if someone just said about, I think it was Gavin, said about he's in Florida. Another thing to do is if you really are missing the running and stuff, a lot of countries find your park run. A lot of people go away, myself included. I know Alan, long run show host, Alan, he plans his whole holiday around runs and races and things. If you really want, you're going away to Cyprus for 2 weeks and it's not too hot, and you have a look in the Google and you see a local 10K, get involved. Pop out down there and do it. Every time we go over to Florida, we're always thinking to ourselves, we plan out the days, what we're doing. Saturday, we're going to go to park run. It's just something you do. We just like it. It's just, as you just said before, it's just maintaining and just keeping that fitness a little bit there. And even silly things like a lot of hotels you go to, you always see them at 10 o'clock in the morning. They always do the pool aerobics, and you think there's people in there just mucking about. Get in the pool and give it a go. I tell you, give it a real right go, and it's not easy.
That's a killer sometimes.
That's brutal, especially if you've been out on the lash like Ben has.
Pretty standard. And I think building on that, Hayden, as well, I think you're on holiday, right? It's a mental break as well that you really need to take that advantage. So if you're stressing about running, you really need to try and take that step back.
This is a classic comment from Robert Hallam. I'm running Chicago in October and I'm away for 3 weeks at the beginning of August, and I'm already stressing and panicking about it. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Hopefully can build up the miles before going away. No, Robert, follow the plan and build up genuinely. Don't try and go, I'm off for 3 weeks. So in week 4, I'm going to do a 20-mile long run followed by, my fastest 10K ever. No, because all that's going to happen there is you're going to stress your body and the chances are you may go down the path of injury. Don't do it. Follow the path. You've got 3 weeks. You can build slightly in terms of your overall fitness by getting out within those 3 weeks and doing some form of running. Yeah. You're going to maintain and you might fractionally build. If you then start putting in, I don't know, because if it's hot and you've got time, go out and do 30 minutes. So do a decent 5-minute warm up. Yeah. Do a really hard 20-minute session, high effort. I'm talking like Ben was broken, that sort of thing. And then a decent 5-minute cool down with some stretching. Yeah. So you're getting a really high intensity session. That you can stick that in and then you can probably get out on the tread or whatever. I don't know what you're doing, but you can actually build some stuff within that 3 weeks. But don't try and go, I'm going to chuck in a load of miles at the front end because I'm going away for 3 weeks. I think that's the worst thing you could do in a way, to be honest. But it's a great comment, Robert, and I'm sorry to pick on you, but it is a great comment and it tells you what people are thinking, and rightly so, right? And I'm panic. And he said, I'm already stressed and panicking about it. And it's in August and he's going to go away for 3 weeks and have a lovely time. And he's stressing about his running. What's the point?
What do you think? I'll ask you a question, Chris. What do you think the biggest hang up when people, let's just take Rob Hallam, so they won't mind.
And he's a legend.
I know. But what do you think Rob is thinking? What are these people getting stressed about? Is it losing fitness?
Yeah.
Is it about getting slower? Is it about not being able to complete the marathon? I've always wondered to myself what it is. I would say probably be fitness. But as you said, so he's got 3 weeks in August and Chicago's October. He's going to do his longest run 3 weeks out from Chicago. Yeah. So that's the end of September. So he's going to know by then if he can run 20 miles, 22 miles. Yeah. So he knows he's going to be able to do it. So people just need to realise that. And what is it you're actually stressing about? Because you will not lose fitness. No. As long as you just do a little bit of exercise. You might maybe lose a tiny, tiny bit of speed. We're not all athletes. Do we really care?
Well, you say that. GB athlete.
Apart from you. I would say as well, do a little bit. I think it's quite key, actually. We didn't really touch it that much. Strength and conditioning is important. I think if you look after yourself on holiday, that's going to be important so that when you do come back and you are relaxed, you are ready to go again. You don't really want to come back and be stressed, be worried, be not in the right frame of mind. You haven't slept properly. You're worrying about other things. You're going to come back and your training plan the first week, 2 weeks is going to be useless. Relaxed. Think about that.
What I would suggest as well is if you're on holiday, take a little notepad with you or just make a few notes on your phone and stuff like that. Just stuff, because there will be times when you're sitting by the pool and you're not doing anything and you will be thinking about your marathon and things will come into your head and things like, oh, maybe I could do this, or, sort of like even all sorts of things. Just write them down. You might throw them away, but just write them down and just make a note of them. And then you can, it's stuff to think about. Now, Chris, I've got one more question about this and I'm asking for a friend.
Is his name Speako?
No, he's not. Oh. No, he's no friend of mine. Anyway, what about if you're on holiday during your taper? Is that a good idea?
Yeah, it's lovely. Get on it.
Say there's like the week before a potential.
Again, why are you worrying about this? Is the thing. Why are people worrying about this sort of stuff?
It's just life. I'm just thinking.
If you're on holiday and you're tapering, so what? What change? Oh, hang on. I'm in a different country, so immediately tapering's against the law. I mean, why are you worrying about stuff like that? Is all I worry about. I'll tell you what I'm worrying about is what I'm having for dinner.
It's the all-inclusive.
Yeah,
bands running.
This is the thing, right? It really is not going to make any difference, right? If you're tapering, you've been through the process. Yeah, you've gone through that 16-week, 12-week block, whatever. You've been through the process. Yes, you can severely cock up a taper by overtraining. You can seriously cock up a taper by undertraining too much. But if you just do a little bit when you can, and the mental reset that you get will pay huge dividends on race day versus you stressing out about something that you simply can't control. I mean, I know, I appreciate this is pot kettle coming from me with ADHD sitting there like a nervous wreck, right? Worrying about and writing lists about everything. Okay. I appreciate this pot kettle, but seriously, yeah, you're just, whoever that is, it's classic. It's like Robert. Oh, I'm panicking about this. It's just, look. And then he's saying, I've got 4 weeks to my return to still pick up the pace. No, Robert. Be consistent. Yeah. Come back and go where you're meant to be going from within the plan, and don't try and chase it. These plans are meant to be structured in a way to get you to the start line in the best possible shape. Yeah. So you peak on race day. We're not all athletes like myself, okay, GB athletes, but most of you will probably get something wrong within that training plan. And chances are of you peaking on that race day, actually, the odds are probably stacked slightly against you because we ain't elite runners. Yeah, we're not doing this full time. But if you can do your best to follow some sort of plan and be consistent and get out there and make sure whatever you're doing is of the highest quality that you can possibly do at the time. Yeah, and you do the rest, you do the recovery, you do the drinking of the proper stuff, and you eat what you're meant to eat, not like Speako, and you do all that sort of stuff. There's nothing else really you can do by trying to chase miles, trying to do 3 high sessions a week because I was in Greece for 3 weeks and I was big time on it. All you're going to do is get injured. So everybody's a message to you as we finish today's show is don't get stressed out about this. I still can't believe we've spent this long talking about it, but it just shows you that there is a genuine anxiety and a whatever the word Robert used brilliantly earlier around this whole topic. And it's true. And that's why I love this show, because we get to talk about things that everyday runners are thinking about. And don't get me wrong, right? I'm sitting here preaching, when I go on holiday, I'll be thinking about it because that's the way we are as runners. It's all BS because I'll be still thinking, should I go for 3 or 4 runs this week? Because that's what we are as runners. We can't help it. We've got that end goal, and that's the way we are as human beings. I get it. But with my coach's hat on, I'm just, please, listen back to what we've said. Just don't get stressed about it. Be more concerned about what you're going to drink tonight at the bar. Do you put a pink cocktail umbrella in it, or do you put some pineapples on sticks in it? Ben, which would you go for?
Extra shot.
Good answer.
Hang on 1 sec. Let's just put this picture back up. Says it all.
That's why.
Yeah, but he says he's looking happy in that picture. Perhaps he was.
Maybe he was that. Maybe because the fact that he finished running with me, because what was it? I said to you, I think it was. It's brilliant. The video. I think it's 8.5 miles. I said to Ben, you know what? This is good because you're now broken. You now got to sit there and talk to me for the rest. He went, I'm going to DNF.
Yeah, you threatened to sing to me for the rest, and I was like, I'm just going to DNF if you.
And I started trying to tell lies to him, but he caught me out. He went, she didn't say that. I went, yes, she did.
I had another one as well where because you run past each other, one group's going in one direction, one's going the other on the thing, and the first time you overtook me, you went on Chris. You went, Wilco, don't go mad. Slow down. And then I was going along, and I'm going along quite nicely. And then I remembered that you'd said to slow down, and I saw Hayden come along, and I thought, he'll be here in a minute. So I thought, shall I just walk? Shall I just walk for 20 yards while I go past Chris? Just say, yeah, take it easy, mate. And then as soon as his back's turned up, and go and kick on it. So you have to think about all these sort of things when you're out running.
I was telling everyone to slow down. It was, joking aside, I was going along. Ben, to tell you, I was telling everybody to slow down because it was just mental when it's that hot.
Apart from me.
Yeah, no, it's good for you, cowboy out, get on with it. He wanted to walk 4 miles. I said, no, get on with it. But no, it's true. I was going along telling him because again, that's the thing, right? If you're going somewhere hot, right, and you know what the summer's like over here, but if you walk off that plane like we did when we come out of King's Cross and it hits you like the heat. You don't want to get yourself in trouble while you're on holiday. What's the point? You know what I mean? It's just pointless. Right. Anyway, Wilco, I think I've said too much again.
I hope that's. I mean, the overriding advice is, folks, don't get too stressed about it. Don't worry too much. You'll be fine. You'll be great. You're all going to smash it. You're all going to be dedicated to your plan, and you're going to do really well. So don't beat yourself up about.
It's a hobby. You've got to remember that.
That's right. So thank you very much, gentlemen, for this evening. Thanks, everyone, for your company. Chris, you've done a great job on the old tech, mate. I know I might have gone a bit quick.
Haven't got the outro yet.
We haven't had the outro yet. I might have picked too early, but
yep.
I think thanks ever so much for that. And thanks for all your listeners, your attention and your questions. You really make the show, and we love doing it. And thanks ever so much for your attention. We are on Facebook and YouTube every Friday at 7 p.m. via the 40 Runs YouTube and Facebook. So please join us on that. But if you can't join us live, we are on Spotify, Amazon, Apple, all your usual podcast providers. So please listen to us on there. Leave us a review because it always gives us a good kick, and it's great fun for you. Thank you very much. If you've got any comments or anything you want to send us, 40runs.com/longrun. Drop them in there. Thank you very much for your attention again. Enjoy your running this week. Take care. Still going to be hot. Plenty of hydration. Look after yourselves. Stay safe. And we'll see you next week.